The Indian Space Research Organization is set to inject its latest flagship Chandrayaan 3 into the lunar orbit shortly. Over the past 3 weeks, ISRO has performed 5 orbital adjustments, gradually positioning the spacecraft farther away from Earth. A significant maneuver on the 1st of August, known as the Slingshot move, effectively redirected the craft from its Earth's orbit towards the Moon. As we speak, ISRO is preparing to inject the propulsion module into the lunar orbit. Well, a lot of excitement is awaited this month as the third attempt towards landing on the Moon is going to fructify. Joining us to talk more about this is Wing Commander S. Sudhakar, former Indian Air Force Global Strategic Defense Expert and CEO of Q Gates Technology. Group Captain V.N. Jha, former Joint Director, DRDO, Senior Scientist, is also with us on the program. Mr. Suresh Nayak, former ISRO Scientist, will also be joining us on the show. And Srijan Pal Singh, CEO of Homi Lab, is also with us on the program. Thank you everyone for being a part of this conversation. Mr. Nayak, sir, I'd like to begin with you. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, actually, I'm leaving after 15 minutes, so I would like to...
I know, sir. That's why I have decided to ask you the first question. Sir, how important was the latest maneuver? And, you know, in comparison and in juxtaposition to what you have seen in 2019, how better prepared are we? What are those faculties that are working for us more robustly, more aggressively, more efficiently this time around?
Yeah, firstly, I will answer your first question. Today, very important orbital maneuver is going to take place. That is the trans-lunar injection. Now, in order to carry out trans-lunar injection, the precondition for that is our satellite should be above 3.26 lakhs kilometers away from Earth. That is the point where the Earth's gravity and Moon's gravity, they balance out. And our satellite has reached now a point beyond that, and it is around, say, 3,70,000 kilometers away from Earth. But we should understand one thing, that it is just parked there, and just by leaving it there, it will not start its journey towards Moon. In order to do that, we have to do this PLI. That means its velocity should be increased to more than 11.2 kilometers. It is basically in the range of 10 to 11.5, depending upon the positions of both the celestial objects. So we can say 11.2 kilometers is the threshold. If we can boost this velocity, and that is done by firing the engine on the spacecraft, then actually the satellite will start its journey definitely towards its Moon. This, of course, has to be done after a lot of calculations and precise firing. And once it starts its journey, then it will take about 4 days or 5 days to reach Moon. And afterwards, one of the most important maneuvers would be lunar orbit insertion. So for that, now we have to do the reverse process. That means reduce its velocity so that 2.38 is the Moon's escape velocity. It has to reach lower than 2.3 kilometers. So then only the Moon will capture the satellite into its gravitational field, and we would have done a successful maneuver. So these things are the future events which we'll be looking forward with excitement. Now, what I am going to answer to you about the second part of your question, you see, we have learned a lot of lessons from Chandrayaan 2. I must say that it worked perfectly in all these stages, and we don't have to worry about the lunar orbit insertion or translunar injection operations. We have mastered these techniques. What happened actually in Chandrayaan 2 is basically up to 2.1 kilometer. The journey of the lander went on perfectly smooth, but after 2.1 kilometer, we lost contact. Now, the reason for this is what is explained by ISRO already is dispersion phenomena took place. Dispersion means the path of the lander to the moon surface, there was a variation. Now, this dispersion which took place would be different reasons. One is there is a very thin atmosphere on the surface of the moon, and that can create this. Second thing is the gravitational forces acting on our lander by the vicinity, celestial objects like a satellite, it could be, or other things. And because of this, the dispersion takes place. And also, there was a problem in our thrusters operation. And of course, our satellite software, the navigation software, all these kind of deviations were beyond its range of correction, right? So once this goes beyond the range of correction, because all the controls and operations are being done by the software, that is starting from the point of just before the launch to the lander lands on the moon, the rover comes out of it, and then only human control is possible. Otherwise, no human control is possible. Everything will be done by the computer. And I'm sure with these kind of corrections, and one more important correction ISRO has incorporated is having redundant systems. If one of the units or systems on lander fails, then the other will take over. So that kind of a redundancy increase its reliability to a very high level. And of course, the lander's legs are strengthened, so our velocity of landing at the last phase is, supposing if it exceeds from 2 meters per second to 3 meters per second, still it will be a robust landing, smooth landing, and nothing will happen to our lander and rover inside the system. And it will be, I'm sure it will be a very soft landing this time.
Right, absolutely, sir. Group Captain Jha, your thoughts on this? You've been a part of this journey since 2019, since I have known you. So far everything has been pristine, everything has been absolutely to the satisfaction of the ISRO. But fingers are going to start to get really crossy around the time when the landing has to happen.
Thank you very much, Vineet. Yes, we have been part of it in the Chandrayaan 2 also. This time also, journey has been by and large smooth. When I say by and large, it is a rocket science, and things are not absolutely perfect every time that you try to intend. Whatever is your intention, it may not be achieved so. Today morning, when we saw the final apogee of the lunar transfer orbit, I was slightly concerned because it is 3.65 lakh kilometer, whereas moon is at 3.8 kilometers, 3.8 lakh kilometers. So there's a discrepancy of about 16,000, 17,000 kilometers of the distance. The influence area of lunar gravity is somewhere, it would be preferably kept around 1,000 kilometers or so. And when this apogee of the Chandrayaan right now, which is going through, is slightly short of that. Maybe ISRO is the most professional body, one of the very few professional bodies. So they must have kept everything into their calculations. Everything would be on their table under simulation. That if this happens, what is the next course? If this happens, what is the next course? In case if Chandrayaan 3 is going to fall slightly short of the influence area of the moon when it approaches in the designated spot, I'm sure there will be enough of thrust available for the Chandrayaan 3 to boost it further. And we must remember, moon's escape velocity is just about 2.34 kilometers per second. So in case if it is more than that, it is going to escape. And there are final the calculations of ISRO, which is going to ensure that in no case it is going to achieve that, because if that happens, then we will lose Chandrayaan 3. So like Chandrayaan 2, we had seen till that last few seconds, everything was in the copybook style. absolutely copybook manner, whatever we had predicted, whatever ISRO had planned onto the path of the Chandrayaan landing, it was going as per that. About 10 seconds short of landing, we had seen a little bit of tug of war between the path and the control system, and that finally, ended up where it finally ended up. So there were some small problems at that time. Till that time, it was absolutely perfect. We should also remember that right now it is under the control of ISRO. The moment the Chandrayaan 3 is going to come close to the moon, till the time it comes within the gravity influence area of the moon, it can be maneuvered. When we send a signal, when the ISRO sends a signal from here for the Chandrayaan to act on certain things, it takes about 2 seconds or so. Our delay time is there. And when they intend to work onto the inputs from there comes in about 2 seconds. And by the time they respond to it, it is about 4 seconds plus the response reaction time of the human and the computer. So it is about 6 seconds or so of the delay. That is why the last phase of the landing, which is automated, is absolutely controlled by the chips, the onboard computer of the things, because in that 6 seconds, you can't control. In the 6 seconds, tremendously wrong things can happen. So those are within the Chandrayaan's own capabilities of control, onboard computer. But otherwise, right now it is in the influence area of the ISRO. They will be maneuvering it. They will first try to grab it into the moon's gravity, and that is what is today. Once it is trapped in the moon's gravity, just I'll take another 10 seconds. It is going to have again a bit of elliptical orbit, which will be about 15,000 kilometers we expect, plus minus some amount of this. So that is the elliptical orbit will be there. But I'm sure they have gone through it in Chandrayaan 2, Chandrayaan 1. So they are well oriented, well skilled into the lunar injection into the orbit. So we wish all the best to ISRO. I'm sure they are going to, handle it very, very professionally.
All right. Okay. Let me take a response from Wing Commander as well. Wing Commander Sudhakaran, if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Well, we've spoken about India's defense prowess on a number of occasions. We have discussed things to do with how to protect ourselves and other sensitive situations. What is your idea of, how is this going to be a game changer, not only for, our space ambitions, but our, space strategy and space war ambitions?
See, for me, if we have to talk about that, yes, the rocket is one aspect of it, and having spent a considerable time in, missile technology, I would now graduate myself into another league of sorts. This whole mission is pointless. I do understand the importance of this, trans-injection into the lunar orbit and the soft landing, which we need to still master. But beyond that, why is this mission? This mission is not for touching the moon and coming back, right? We are sending this mission to explore the moon, and that is going to be done by the Pragyan. And that is where my interest lies in, the robotic Pragyan. And as a robotic practitioner, and as well as somebody who practices AI, that's where India's strength has to come on its own terms. Though the Pragyan is just a 30 kg robo, but we have to understand that US already has sent the opportunity and the curiosity, which weigh more than a car. It's like an 800 kilogram payload that they have sent to farther planets. That's what India needs to perfect, and this is a stepping stone for us. I'm happy that we are doing it. The success of Pragyan to a large extent will define the robotics revolution in India. And that's the next big thing that is going to happen in India. And this Chandrayaan mission, it's like the World Cup, India winning the World Cup. You see where India is today. The IPL League, how rich have we got? We are the rulers of the world. So Chandrayaan, to me, taking Pragyan to the moon will bring that World Cup moment back to India. We will send bigger rovers. And that is where our intellect, our collective technological capability, the technology leadership that we are aiming for, the demography that, looking for cutting edge employment in cutting edge sectors, all this is going to open up courtesy Chandrayaan 3, taking Pragyan on its shoulder, putting it on the moon, wherein people will now start looking at the smaller finesse, the smaller aspects of life. And we will not only conquer moon, but we are in to take giant strides in the technology domain, build stuffs of our own. And that is where indigenization and Make in India is going to come of its own. The second important aspect is the quality of experiments that you can carry out, like Group Captain V. and Jha has rightly put out, to control the rocket in the sky, it's almost a 2-second delay. But to control Pragyan from here, it is going to be even more farther, because rocket, in a sense, is controlled much more dynamically rather than something like a rover, because it is not stationary. It is going to move around the lunar surface. It needs to recharge itself. There are a lot of things that it needs to maneuver. We are going to, perfect these technologies. And the kids who are in school today, they're going to take a big giant step. They're going to learn from this. They're going to make more robots, make more things to automate our mundane life. So people might think, what if, we achieve something in the moon? No, it will come back to your drawing room. It will come back to your bedroom, your kitchens. And that will be powered by the young minds today who are going to watch on August 23rd how India is going to, have its flag on the moon. It's going to be an amazing journey.
It definitely will be an amazing journey. Mr. Srijan Pal Singh?
I think it's a monumental step in history waiting to be created.
Absolutely. And how do you think that the government has been at the top of this endeavor? They have encouraged the ISRO to be autonomous, and they have also encouraged the private sector to take inspiration from these developments and these progressive ideas and create an entire ecosystem for the economy around it.
Absolutely. And this is not just limited to Chandrayaan, but space in general. In India, we are seeing so many startups. One of the biggest startups in India, one of the biggest talked about sector is now space. And we have seen many such things happening. The fact that we can now send a satellite and a rover and a lander to moon completely indigenously and at a cost which is astronomically lower than what others would have done is quite significant. I think one point which we must highlight, I think it's not come out, is the fact that we're sending a small rover, I agree, but we're sending a small rover to a place where nobody has ventured to be, which is the southern pole, which is the most difficult mission. Imagine a country, India has got the capability, the willpower, and the strength today to not aim for the equator of the moon, which is the easy place to go, but towards the south pole of the moon, which is the difficult but the more interesting part to go, because that's where perhaps water, the signature of water or signature of the geological signatures out there on the moon are far more important for humankind than landing anywhere else. So I think that what the government has given space, and I remember 2019 site where the Prime Minister visited ISRO. Even the next day he went when there was a partial failure. I think that moral boost, that compass which he sent, you can try it again, and when you do great science missions, failures would be there. I think that signal which ISRO was given and how the people stood behind ISRO. I mean, nobody talked about in 2023, oh, now why are we sending another 600 crores when we have not been successfully landing Chandrayaan 2? Nobody said that at all. We all encouraged as a country, we encouraged our scientists. And I think that's herald of a great time ahead for country, not just about ISRO, but about all technological endeavors. Because we as a country have realized that we should aim for the moon, literally, and the most difficult part of the moon, literally. And then if there's a partial success, we try again. And we keep trying again till we succeed. So I think a lot has been done in 4 years. I think a group captain was explaining, and the first guest was also explaining what all changes we have done. In a small period of 4 years, we've changed so many things in Chandrayaan 2 and made it into Chandrayaan 3. I think that is monumental. Who does that? I mean, who would have expected in 1947 a country, India just independent, 2% of the world GDP, and suddenly now, it is talking about doing things which nobody has done. So I think it's a great message, and I think as somebody, the panelists were also saying, for young people, somebody who's in school today, imagine that child who is going to see a Pragyan rover coming out And for 28 days, roving around moon, sending pictures, samples, their geological signatures, and so many other experiments. Imagine that child when he grows up or she grows up, the world which is ahead, which India provides today, that pedestal, India, the age of knowledge is about to come.
That's well said, actually. I completely concur with you. We've also run out of time. This is not only a landmark opportunity for ISRO, but it's also a great opportunity for the youth of this nation.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.